So the first candle I lit, that was lit a little reluctantly, represents life. And I'm taking a different approach to the whole theme of Advent. I did some research on it, and actually there are several ways to present the Advent season, and I thought I would present it in a way that is in keeping with what I've been talking about over the last several years about the four fundamentals of God: life, love, power, and intelligence. And instead of looking at the traditional ways that Lent handles, or not Lent, but Advent handles the idea. It's the idea of the coming into the awareness of the Christ nature, or bringing into our consciousness the spiritual experience. Could you advance this slide, please, Bev? So the symbology of the wreath, as we have it set up here, we have a wreath surrounding 5 candles. The evergreen wreath represents God. It's a complete circle. It's eternal, has no beginning, no end. That's the whole idea of the evergreen, forever fresh, forever new. So that encircles the candles. And we'll start with the bottom left. The green candle is the one I lit today, is life and enthusiasm. And I call these, well, I'll explain this in just a moment, the four fundamentals of God. But all of these are qualities of God, and as we think about each one, we will understand what this is. To the far right, bottom corner, we go to love, which is pink or red, one of the elements of God. And then we go up to power, which is blue, and we go over to intelligence, which is order. And all of these are different qualities of God that we will see, and the colors match kind of the notion of the element that's listed. Okay, can we move on to the next one? And here's how I can best explain this. This is not really, it's not a theory. It is, as you think about the presence of God, what it is, and so on, this is how it works. We have the fullness of God present all the time, and that would represent white light. And we know that if we run white light through a prism, it breaks into various colors. And so we know those colors are all present all the time, but we don't always see them unless the white light has something to shine through and break that down. And that's really the role of the soul. Instead of 7 colors in a spectrum, we're talking about 4 different aspects of God: life, love, power, and intelligence. And we'll focus on each one of those. Today is life as we move along. But this is, I think, one of the best illustrations of how we can think of this presence. White light is always, it's present, but we don't see its colors unless it goes through something. One of the most beautiful places we see this breakdown is a rainbow. And if you ever have seen a double rainbow, you'll notice that the colors are, in one of the bows, they're in one order, and if you look at the second bow, they're exactly the opposite. And I didn't know that most of my life until I learned that later on, but it's true. But it takes a way to break that down, to make that visible to us on the visible plane. And if you think of the soul is, that's its purpose. That's our purpose as individuals. Is the white light of God shines. It's universal. It is doesn't show up as anything, but it has the potential to be all things. And so it shines through us. And if we are open and receptive to it, it shines out through us, and it shines all 4 of its colors, all 4 of its fundamentals. Life, love, power, and intelligence expressed in and through us into our daily life. And when that balance is present, our life works. It works in all ways. And by the time we get to the end of the series, you'll see how all of these things work in your individual experience. Could we have the next slide, please? So we say that life is omnipresent. We're saying all four of these fundamentals are present all the time. If God is omnipresent, everywhere present equally at the same time, then that means the four fundamentals of God are present. If you're not feeling so lively, if you're feeling a little bit down, does that mean that life is not present? And it doesn't. It's still there. And we see an example of this in this tree that has no leaves. It looks like it is rather lifeless. We always sort of associate winter with a lifeless season. But life is still as present in the tree without leaves as it is in the tree with leaves. But it's the environment that determines how life is expressed. Can we move to the next slide? From the point of view of spiritual expression, consciousness is the environment. So you have the omnipresence of God. God is everywhere present. What is blocking the flow of life? Why isn't that coming into more into expression through me? And we'll say it is the environment that is blocking it. And am I talking about the external environment? No. I'm talking about the environment of consciousness. So we're talking about a meditative, intuitive level of experience. We're opening ourselves to the within, that life that is always present. Your life may look fairly leafless at the moment. It may be drab. It may look like it's lacking something. So do you ask God to give you more leaves? Do you ask God to give you more of something that looks like more, warm weather, whatever? What we want to do is we want to create the environment that allows more life to come through. And this is the whole Christmas story. This is what we'll culminate in on our candlelighting service on Christmas Eve. We're inviting an awareness, a deeper awareness of the soul. The soul is also life, love, power, and intelligence, made in the image and after the likeness of God. It is the individualized expression of God. Our soul is God in expression. But we don't always express that. We don't always let it out. And that blockage, that environment that we want to pay attention to, is our consciousness. It's our belief system. If we are spending our lives looking outside for a Savior to come, as 99.9% of the world is, that's what's taught. That someday something's going to come and change our life. Some people look for government. Some people look for religion. Some people look, for some major change to come from the outside and change their life. We want to open ourselves to that inner experience. And I might add, too, that on our Wednesday night meditation, it will coincide with the subject today of life. I'll focus on a meditation on life. And we'll do that all through this Advent series. But this is an important thing to keep in mind, because we seem to always be looking for the future, to the future, for that greater good to begin to unfold. And the whole idea is to not look low here or low there, look outside of ourselves for the solution, but to open ourselves first to that life. And life expresses as enthusiasm, and I think it was Emerson that said nothing great was ever accomplished without enthusiasm. If you're feeling that something is lacking in your life, and there may very well be, you may have a tree that has no leaves. But we start with the idea that the life needed to bring forth the leaves is present. It's not absent, because we are thinking of God not as an old man up in the sky, far away someplace that has all the answers that we want, but as a presence pushing in upon each one of us. If it were possible to put the leafless tree in an environment where we could raise the temperature and give it plenty of sunlight and so forth, right in the midst of winter, if you could cover it, put it in a huge greenhouse, the life would start coming forward. We live in a materialistic environment. Our whole scientific thinking is based on materialism. And that has bled off into our thinking that the good we seek begins with a thing of some kind. I was listening this morning to an astrophysicist that was talking about the sun, the importance of its role in providing life and so forth on this planet. It's very true. But this person made the statement that the sun is life. That's where life comes from. All life comes from the sun, he said. And that's not true. The sun helps create the environment that invites life to come forth. Life is omnipresent. Life is present even if the sun burns out. That's what we want to get into our mind. That God is present no matter what. Doesn't require any change to bring God into the present moment. What is required is a change of our environment. And this person was talking about Earth, how it's in relation to the sun. It's in that magic place, that zone. They call it the Goldilocks syndrome or something like that, where one planet is too far away, another's too close to the sun, one's too hot, one's too cold. The Earth is in a zone that's just right, and that's how they look for inhabited planets out in the universe. Is they look for possible planets that are orbiting a star that's in the same type of zone, the life zone, the green zone, whatever they decide to call it. But it's not the sun that gives the life. It's the sun, along with all the other elements, that create the environment that allows life to manifest, to come forth. But whether life comes forth or not, it's still present. That's the whole struggle we have with death. We think if it's not visible in a body, in a living form, then the life is absent. It's not present. We have a very difficult time with this, and totally understandable. But we are making a shift in our thinking, because as we look at our own life and we feel the lack of some type of lack in our experience, we have this tendency to think that God is absent. Something essential to my being is absent. Something is gone that would make me happy if it were present. And that something is life. It is the presence of God, the full spectrum. So our job is to create the environment that allows that life to manifest, to go from the invisible to the visible. It will not make that transition unless we become the gate, unless we become the door. We open the door of our own consciousness to that presence. And that is an intuitive process. Sunday morning, these Sunday morning lessons are going to be a rather intellectual approach, explaining principles, but we will move into the intuitive side on Wednesday night, the meditative side, because this is where the real action takes place. It's not in changing the thoughts in our brain, in our head, in our intellectual faculty. That's an important thing to do. But when we get into the Christmas story, how was the birth of Jesus announced? It wasn't given to Joseph, or the birth process did not occur through Joseph. Joseph was not needed, and Joseph represents the intellect. Mary is the intuition, the soul. And that's how this process occurs. It is important for us to stop looking for specific answers and just know that as we open ourselves to this deeper truth, this deeper reality, this deeper life, that it manifests as enthusiasm, and we apply that enthusiasm in whatever we do. It really doesn't matter what you're doing if you're enthusiastic about it, if you're enjoying it. We say that some things I like to do, some things I don't like to do. I say that, you say that. We all say that. And so we say sometimes God is more present, less present. That's where we're at. We're playing this divine ping pong game. Sometimes God is more present than others. When I'm doing what I love, God is more there, more present. I'm feeling most creative and so on. And I understand all that. But God isn't the yo-yo. God's not the one coming in and out. It's our environment of consciousness. We're labeling some things as, I'm not so enthusiastic about this, so I'll shut down the life force. I'll shut down that aspect of God. But what if you could take something that you really don't care to do in your life and do it with just as much enthusiasm as you would something you love to do? What would happen to your life, do you think, if that happened, if you opened yourself in that regard, in that way? It's a pretty amazing thing. I proved this to myself many years ago, and I've shared this story a number of times. I used to work with my family on my family's construction business, and I absolutely hated it. Hated going in and doing that type of work. And I would go to the Unity Church and have this very high moment. So there were times when I was expressing life and enthusiasm, when I was doing something I really wanted to do, and then I'd go home and there was the rest of the week. Not so enthusiastic about that. And so I asked myself the question one day, why is that? Why am I experiencing a high doing that? Why can't I experience it doing something I don't like? So I started going to the construction jobs early, and I would sit down in the empty house and I would meditate. I would open myself to the presence of God. And I began to have a whole different kind of enthusiasm for that job. And I stopped actually thinking of it as a job. I'm just here doing whatever I'm doing. If it's swinging a hammer or talking to a contractor or doing whatever I happen to be doing. Why should I shut down my faculties because I'm in a situation that I wouldn't necessarily like? And the answer to that is because I'm shutting down my faculties because I'm in a situation I don't like. It's not the situation. So as I began to open myself to this time of meditation, just say, this is a sacred place. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to open myself to the presence of God. It was pretty incredible how my whole attitude started changing, doing the same type of work, being in the same place. People would come in, subcontractors would come in and so forth. I would think of them as messengers of God. What do they have to bring? What are they bringing? What kind of experience do they have? What are they bringing to me? And it was a whole different way of thinking. I never even considered it. And I didn't get any of that inspiration or enthusiasm from anyone around me because everyone around me didn't particularly like their job either. But it was interesting that the more I let go of it, the more enthusiastic I became, not necessarily about the job, but just living. I'm alive and I'm swinging a hammer. I'm alive and I'm shoveling gravel. I'm alive and I'm painting the side of a house. I'm having this experience. I'm using my body in a particular way, but I'm alive and I'm enthusiastic about it. And what happened over a very short period of time is the door opened where I was able to step out of that. And I think that's a pretty important lesson, that we don't really move out of those places we don't like until we fill them up. We fill them with life. We fill them with love. We fill them with intelligence and power. We become the prism through which the pure light of God shines. And we don't shut ourselves down in one environment saying, I don't like this, so I'm not going to let the omnipresence of God shine. Who suffers when that happens? I start the suffering chain, but everybody around me experiences that too. Because they're not getting me. They're not getting the fullness of who I am. Because I am approaching life in a conditional way. I can't express life because I'm doing something I don't like. What's interesting is if you start expressing life, you'll like about everything that you do. And again, that doesn't mean that you're going to stay there, but if you feel like you're hemmed in or you're blocked in to something, if you think in terms of filling that from the inside, filling that beginning with yourself, that's why I think it's important when we approach our meditation time to don't do that to try to solve a problem. You're the problem. And the problem is shutting off your environment of consciousness to that presence of life. And so we start affirming life. We start affirming what it is that we feel we lack. If we need guidance, we affirm intelligence. If we need strength, we affirm power. And we'll get into all these. Okay, could we move on to the next? So I've got a series of affirmations, and these all come from my book, The Complete Soul. If you want to explore the entire aspect of meditation that I talk about, I think it begins on page 123. There's a whole series of meditation practices in the back of that book, and this I have taken from them. So let's move to the next slide and take the first affirmation. Let me say it first, and then I'll invite you guys to join me and we'll speak it together. My soul radiates the pure, unrestricted energy of life. Together. My soul radiates the pure, unrestricted energy of life. As we speak these words, and you'll take them in your time of meditation, I would suggest taking your bulletin home because it has all of this on the back of it. If you want to keep this up through the week, and I would suggest daily through this time. As you speak these words, my soul radiates the pure, unrestricted energy of life. Let this happen as you say these words. Let this happen. Let your affirmation be a movement in yourself. Just hold on to the affirmation until you feel that what you say is actually true. Let's move on to the next slide. Let me say this. There are no blockages. There are no restrictions. Together? There are no blockages. There are no restrictions. So your mind shoots out. Well, what about this? What about that? Let it go. Pull yourself back. There are no blockages. There are no restrictions. This life is not stopped by anything except the environment of your consciousness. It's thwarted. Let's move on to the next one. I am filled with boundless life and unbridled enthusiasm. Together. I am filled with boundless life and unbridled enthusiasm. So we say that and we don't try to make it happen. We let it happen. We let it happen because we're not the ones in charge. Who makes the tree grow? Who makes the tree leaf out? That's not our job. Our job is to create the environment, let life do what it does. Let that enthusiasm rise in us, and then we take it into whatever we're doing. Not anything specific, everything in general, everything, life. We share life wherever we are, enthusiastically. Let's go to the next one. The pure radiance of my soul shines in its fullness now. Together. The pure radiance of my soul shines in its fullness now. And you just hold that thought, but more importantly, hold that action. See that happening. Feel that. Let yourself feel that shining forth. Again, not trying to solve a problem. The only problem is environmental consciousness. That's the only thing we're solving. We're opening ourselves, and then there's no problem. We're opening ourselves to this deeper reality. Okay, let's go to the next one. In perfect peace, I let this pure energy rise. Together. In perfect peace, I let this pure energy rise. And that is, you feel that peace. And we achieve that in our time of meditation. And Wednesday night is a great time to do that. And I would suggest 30 minutes to an hour a day using these affirmations, and just stay with the one we're dealing with each week. But this whole Christmas thing, we're moving to an awareness. We're saying, everything that I think I know, I'm willing to let go. I'm willing to let life change my environment of consciousness. I'm willing to let God show me a better way. And as we let go, as we open ourselves to this, we do achieve that perfect peace, that perfect quiet, and that pure energy rises on its own. All right? I hope if you can, join us on Wednesday night, and we'll continue the meditative side of this. And we'll be lighting a new candle every week and going through each of these elements. Thanks for coming out.